We saw route reflector and the behavior, the reflection rules between eBGP, between client, between non-clients. Those things we have to verify now. What we already have in this topology is we have the IP address in place, we have BGP in place, and I'm expecting routes from the adjacent autonomous system seen. Let's go to router 3 first and verify whether we learn routes. Show IP BGP summary. I can see that I'm learning a route from router 5, and this is wrongly configured. I'm going to remove router BGP 20. No neighbor. This neighbor doesn't exist. So BGP, eBGP between 5 and 3 is good. Show IP BGP again. We do have it. And we are not learning any route from router 1. And we don't have full mesh. Solution is route reflector. We are asking router 1 to reflect the route. Only then I learn some routes. Router 1 knows about all external network. Show IP BGP summary. Okay, here also this is, let me check. I'm able to ping, but the neighborship has not come. Okay, let's go to router 4 and troubleshoot. Show IP BGP summary. Ping. Okay, on router 1, I have given 14. Whereas on router 4, I have given 41. That's the issue. So I want to check which one is correct. 14 is correct. I'd like to remove this and put 14. Router BGP 20. No neighbor 10 14, not 41. Removed AS 20. Done. And now let's try pinging this address. Okay, neighbor has already come. And on router 1, show IP BGP summary. Okay. This router learns route from every other neighbors. Show IP BGP. I can see 555 coming from autonomous 10, 666 coming from autonomous 30, 777 coming from local. But what I don't see is this 222. Let us see why. Show IP BGP again. Okay, there is no neighbor configured. Let us configure the neighbor. Show IP interface brief. The IP address on F00 is this. Router BGP 20. Neighbor is this. Remote AS 40. Now let me try pinging this address to check whether. Okay, so neighbor will come if R2 is configured. Okay, it has come. Now R1 should have show IP BGP has got even 2222. Now this is because of next up self not given on router 3 and router 4. Let's do that. Router BGP 20. Neighbor, this one. For this neighbor, I am the next stop. Likewise on R4, router BGP. Router BGP 20. Neighbor 10.14.0.1. Next stop self. Clear IPBGP starts off. Now let's go back again to router 1 and see. All right, we got the proper next hop. Likewise on R1 also you should say next hop to these 3 guys. So show IPBGP summary. There's 3 IBGP neighbors. We need to say next hop self. So router BGP 20 neighbor next hop self. Neighbor next hop self. Neighbor self. All right. So we got the neighbor strip adjacency and routes from the neighbors. Show IPBGP summary. Let's also go to router 3 and now check it. Show IPBGP summary. We are learning only one prefix from router 1. And that is 2.2.2. That's the only prefix that we are learning from router 1. We are not seeing 6.6.6.6 nor 7.7.7.7. The reason is the route learned from one IBGP neighbor should not be given to another IBGP neighbor. Now, I'm going to router 1 and configure router 4 as a client. Only 4, not 3, not 7. 7 is at the bottom. Only 4 I'm going to configure as the client. See what happens. Currently, router 3 knows only 2.2.2. And router 4 knows only 2.2.2. From IBGP only this is what it learns. And on router 7, 2.2.2.2. So when I configure this 4 as a client, we need to see what all impact that happens on 3, 7. On router 2, you don't have any problem. You see, show IPBGP. This guy knows everything. Giving to EBGP, there is no problem. But to give to IBGP, you need full mesh. Or you need to break that rule called IBGP split horizon rule. To break the rule only, we have this route reflector. Now I'm going to router 1, router BGP 20, and say neighbor router 4 route reflector client. That's all. How easy it is. Immediately the new policy has changed, so it is getting resetted with the new policy. So as a result, not only in router 4 you will see all the routes, You will also see on 3 and 7 show IP BGP. Router 4 has got now all. This was not coming earlier. Sorry, this was coming earlier. This was not coming earlier. This was not coming earlier. Sorry, this was coming. This was not coming. This and this was not there earlier. Now we got it. And now if you see the IP address in the BGP table, show IP BGP, this one, you can see that the cluster list. It says that it is originally coming from router 3, from this autonomous system. Who is the originator? We say next up self on router 3. So it is saying this guy is the originator, but who is reflecting it, clustering it? Who is reflecting it? Router 1 is reflecting it. You will not see this for 22222. You don't see the cluster for 2222. 2222 comes normal. You no need a route reflector for 2. But for 55555, you depend on the grouper, cluster, the one who groups, makes this reflection happens. So you can know who the cluster maker from here, cluster list, which means that's the reflector. The same thing you can go to router 7 and ask. Okay, now you are seeing 2222, 6.6.6.6, which was not earlier. And what you don't see is 55555. What you don't see is 5.5.5.5. Why? Because that is another non-client. Route learned from one non-client will not be given to another non-client. 7 is a non-client. This is the only client. See, route learned from 7 will be given to 4. Route learned from 3 will be given to 4. Because 4 is a client. But this is not a client. This is not a client. This is a client. So whatever this guy gave will be given. 6.6.6 is given. You can even see that. And 222 is was there earlier. 777 is local. 555 is not coming because a route learned from a non-client should not be given to another non-client. Should not be given. So even in router 3, you won't see 777. In router 3, you will not see 777. You see 6 coming from the client, but you don't see 777. But there is no problem in giving to eBGP. You understand? All this thing is what we saw in the theory class of previous session. So let's go through this 3 line once again, and I'll start from the second point. Route learned from RR client, which is in our case 6.6.6.6. Route learned from an RR client. What do you learn? 6.6.6.6. Is advertised to both client. If you have another client, it will go there. It will also go to non-route reflector client. See, it's going to non-reflector client. That is how we were able to see On 333, that's 6.6.6.6, and on 777, 6.6.6.6. That is not best. Why it is not best? I want to see whether I'm able to ping it. That may be the issue. This is the issue. We don't have OSPF running. That is why. Okay, so if you run an IGP protocol between these, you will have that reachability to router 4. Let us enable those things quickly. Interface F0/0, IPOSPF1 area 0, and also on router 1. Oh, it's already running on router 1. Okay. So now if you go and check show IP BGP, let's first ping. Okay, ping it. Now you see show IP BGP. Okay, it is best. We have fixed it. Now here we are. Okay, we are learning this. Though router 7 is not a client, 3 is not a client, we are learning. Even the RR client that advertised the route will receive the copy. That is okay. Now, going to the first point. Route learned from non-RR is advertised only to client but not to another non-RR. For example, in our case, this 5555 is learned from a non-RR, will be given to eBGP as well as to the client, but will not be given to 7. Let's go and check. 7 should not have 5555. Yes, there is no 5555. There is no 5555. Route learned from an eBGP neighbor is advertised to both client as well as non-client. That is okay. That we already see 2222 everywhere. So, all right. So this is route reflector demo.